Hello and welcome to Media7. This week we're down with the kids. What's the state of children's media and children's television in particular? Have pay TV and the internet drained away the broadcast audience? Can we still hear local voices above the global brand clamour? And do even kids like kids TV now? Meanwhile, some researchers are calling for a ban on all TV for under twos and strict limits on viewing for older children. These are testing times. Later in the show, we'll also hear from one of the unsung heroes of print media, a sub-editor, about his new book on the joy of text. But to get us rolling, Sarah Daniel looks back at the kids' TV we remember. Do we all like the old stuff better than the new stuff?
Spare a thought for kids' TV presenters, breaking that old rule never to work with small children and animals, let alone stuffed ones.
I'm an artist. How am I expected to work with these amateurs, for God's sake?
Kids' TV. It's tempting to say it was so much better back then.
I like Roger Gascoigne. I like Roger Gascoigne.
Nice one, Stu.
Roger.
It was weird and often obscure.
Remember you're a womble. Remember you're a womble. Remember you're a womble.
And remember this guy.
Bright eyes, burning like fire. Bright eyes, how can you close and tell?
Boom boom. It's well known that a bunch of counterculture hippies were behind this.
I'm a boss. A number 12. Oh, let's go.
Clearly nothing much has changed at the BBC. Baby talking trippers were also behind this. Kiwi kids in the 70s and 80s had their own cultural references.
Excuse me, Wendy?
Hi, may I help you?
This is Sam, sir. I'm just looking...
Hey, aren't you Jordan Luck?
Uh-huh.
From the Dance Exponents?
Sure am.
Here's Simon Barnett in his pyjamas.
I think I've made a booby.
And let's take a look back through the round window.
I'm sitting in my boat and I'm about to sail away.
TV was innocent, wholesome. Now it's more like the Antichrist with product placement and sexualised presenters. Kids' TV is something to cherish, or else it'll end up just like little Ted, truly stuffed.
Sarah Daniel there, and that is actually what happened to little Ted. He was blown up and his disembodied head is all that remains. It's in the museum and that's really quite creepy. Anyway, TVNZ, joining me now are TVNZ 6 and 7 programmer Juliet Jensen, the creator of the award-winning Let's Get Inventin' and other series, Luke Nola, Waikato University Associate Professor of Screen and Media Studies, Jeff Leland, and the director of a new movie adaptation of Morris G's Under the Mountain, Jonathan King. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Now, Juliet, that was all very well looking at all those programs we remember. They were all on free-to-air TV. The impression is that the audience for free-to-air children's programming is sluicing away to pay TV and the internet. Is that the case, and if it is, should we be worried?
The reality is that ever since the introduction of pay TV, there has been more choice for kids, and yep, they are going to particularly the Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Playhouse Disney also feature highly in there, but that's obviously for households with Sky as an option. So within those households, TV2 particularly still holds, you know, a lot of the audience, and does hold most of the audience overall. But yeah, the reality is that there are more options out there, and the kids are going to the foreign channels.
What does it mean on a policy and funding level if half the audience is actually going away to Nickelodeon or is spending Saturday morning on the internet with Club Penguin? Should we be concerned?
I think we should, because again, the reality is that those channels are programmed, scheduled, made overseas and with foreign content, whereas the local free-to-air industry is much more focused on New Zealand-made programming, and obviously the support that New Zealand On Air gives it is crucial and important for national identity, basically.
You're programming 6 and 7. 6 is the family channel, and it has quite a lot of children's television.
Yep.
What's the philosophy there? What are you trying to do there that's different?
So we are directly government funded at the moment, TVNZ 6 and 7, and we have a block of content called Kids Zone from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That is preschool, non-commercial content. It all has an educational ethos, and the idea is that we're fulfilling gaps in the market, essentially. You can't advertise during preschool content, therefore it's a sunk cost, therefore it's not commercially viable, and as we all know, media everywhere is the pressures on to make money. So what we are able to do is produce a large block of content that gives parents and children the opportunity to view 50% local content, and it's all screened by myself so that it's good for parents to watch with their children.
So it's a safe place to go?
It's a safe place. In that report we had the word wholesome. We don't like the negative connotations of that, but we have strong content that has educational needs catered for and makes sure that there's always a service there for children.
Luke, we were all sitting there on the panel nodding at all those vintage TV shows. You could hear the recognition in the audience. Are our children, you've got young kids, are our children going to look back on the TV that they're watching now in the sense that they'll feel like it defined their childhood?
Most definitely. I think my kid Pete, he still mourns and reminisces Monster Garage. I mean, it was only like last year or 2 years ago, but he said, "Oh, I remember Monster Garage, that was great, Dad, wasn't it?" Yeah, it was. I think that's a kind of nostalgia for, recent stuff, and kids have their nostalgia is like in the span of 4 years. But I do think there's stuff on TV that will create memories of the future. I hope that's what we're doing on Let's Get Inventing.
So how old's your son?
He's 8 now, but...
So he's watching Monster Garage, which isn't
well,
necessarily...
He's
it's not
it.
necessarily children's TV. I'm quite interested in,
well, that's my
whether...
thing. I don't think kids... we shouldn't be making kids TV for kids. Make TV that everyone loves and that kids love as well. Some of those popular shows on TV, The Simpsons, Monster Garage, Mythbusters, are adult shows that kids want to watch. And that's what our philosophy with Let's Get Inventing is. Let's make a show that we want to see. Let's blow some stuff up and have some fun and a bit of danger. Stuff I'd like to do and my friends would like to do and kids would like to do as well. Yeah,
I wonder whether that's one of the keys to its success, is that it's real, is the kid can start out, have a good idea, and at the end get $10,000 and an actual patent.
Yeah, I love that.
It's part of the appeal?
It's authentic, it's real. It is kind of made up, and we do a lot of stuff that is in fantasy world as well. But essentially we're creating ideas that are kids' real ideas that are being made in the real world by adults that are doing what kids want. A bit like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, a little bit of fantasy where the kid rules the world for a little moment and orders all adults around, which wouldn't be great? Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Well, of course, the other thing you've done with that show is you've made it into a saleable format, which is the holy grail for everyone making TV. They want to be able to sell the format.
New Zealand
why
kids
did you
are
succeed in
inventive,
doing
but
that?
then I think all kids are inventive because they're all natural, creative beasts. They want to create, and they don't have the creativity taken out of their brain quite yet because they haven't learned everything. So internationally, kids are natural inventors, and I think that's what has been a hit with the show, is that no matter where you are, from UK to Guam, kids are inventive, which is good.
Yeah, Jeff, Luke's sending TV out to the world, but in general the flow is in the other direction, and as we noted, it's big global brands, it's Nickelodeon, which never stops. Are you concerned by that?
No, because I think New Zealand television's got a big advantage. It's got live bodies. Nickelodeon, there's no sense that anyone's presenting it. And Television New Zealand, TV 2 and 3 schedule at times when children are watching. So they've got a loyalty to kind of time slots as well as presenters, as well as the programs themselves. So Nickelodeon is something you graze over, but the children's programming, I think, on the mainstream channels are something that you go for. Appointment viewing for children, if anything.
So we're still in reasonable health in that respect?
Yeah, I think so. And some of the programs being made here is brilliant. Let's Get Inventing, maybe a bit cosy, but I just realised I was on the Qantas Awards for 2 years where we awarded Let's Get Inventing the best program for that year, for 2 years. But there was one, a Gibson production a couple of years back, which was really interactive. I forget the name of it.
Simon Elliott Show.
The Simon Elliott Show, yeah, that was great. So there's an invention here, and I think when you look at the mail that even What Now gets after all these years, the fan mail, there's a tremendous fan base for that programming. So Nickelodeon's, I think, has added to it, but I'm not worried that it's siphoning off all that child audience.
Jonathan, you've got young children as well. What do they watch? Are you happy with what they're watching?
There's some things that I'm not thrilled about. Hannah Montana being one of them, which is like crack to 8-year-old girls. But so every time I walk in the room,
this is worth discussing. What makes you uncomfortable about Hannah Montana?
Oh, just
because it is a phenomenon amongst 8-year-old girls, isn't it?
Oh, she's not, but she's not nice. No, it's this kind of smart ass kind of, and I find my daughter. Kind of just this, because everything is like a zinger, and so you find your children giving you zingers all the time, and it's like, hey, I just asked you, do you want, what do you want for breakfast? And they're trying to make up a kind of a witty line and things. So I
as
find
if they think that's the way they should act.
They should
have one
line. There's a pause for the laugh
breakfast.
track, and it's just.
But you ask a 16-year-old what they think of Hannah Montana, and they'll curl their lip, really. Exactly. It's tweenies stuff, it's not teens.
Exactly, yes.
You've just made a movie of a New Zealand story in an age when children's movies are creative and commercial successes. Do you think you could have done anything like this in TV?
I don't think I could, probably. And it's interesting, I was just thinking just now, everything we're talking about here, none of which includes drama, really. For one thing, drama is obviously much more expensive to make. And there was a time when Under the Mountain was first made as a TV series, which was directed by Chris Bailey, who's one of our executive producers on the new film. Chris was saying he sort of started on a Monday and he was given the script and they went off and they shot it for however many months, and then he finished that on the Friday, and then on the Monday he got a new job, and there was a golden age, I think, of New Zealand TV drama for kids. Which included things like Rotten Fred and Rat's Guts, Meet the Mad Dog Gang, and Under the Mountain, and Children of the Dog Star, and things like that, which was pretty extraordinary, I think, for
it's
my
interesting.
generation.
I'm involved with NZ On Screen, and things like Rotten Fred and Rat's Guts are some of the things that people request. The things that people really want to see again. I mean, is this an issue that we're not seeing children's drama?
There is still children's drama being made. For example, Paradise Cafe, which is a new drama for TV2. The reality is it is expensive, and New Zealand On Air has limited funds. I note that in this funding year, 19% of their money is going towards children's and young persons television, so that's a decent amount, really. But again, drama is the most expensive genre, and it's difficult to promote and get a strong audience there in a fragmented environment where we have everything else going on. So that has to be, in mind.
Does it sell internationally? Because the Americans Quest did all right, didn't it? And things like The Tribe, which was almost from outside the system.
Yeah, The Tribe was huge internationally, and when I was at TV3 we had The Tribe, and we even played it in prime time. And back in the days of Being Eve, for example, it would get a 7 o'clock Saturday slot, but it doesn't rate highly enough to get that prime time exposure now. It has to be subsidised by New Zealand On Air largely, and it has to sit in off-peak weekend afternoon slots. And that's the best that they can do, and it's not for want of trying, but it's the reality of the increasingly commercialised world.
Because kids watch the cartoons.
I mean, drama doesn't have to be high production, doesn't be Madigan's Quest. I visited UK recently and walked in the room, 2 little Welsh boys watching Lucky Leonard, the Australian show, which I think is great. It's family-centred drama, and it exports, really.
But still, that budget is still 10 times higher than something, like Let's Get Inventing or What Now or anything like that. So you've got to put that, into.
I think you've got to be creative with it. But kids want to be surprised, and we could shoot a drama on cell phones. You don't need to be high budget to be good. Look at YouTube. Kids still watch YouTube, and it's not great quality to watch. The content is funny, and if it's funny, they watch it, and it can be shot on a cell phone.
Well, one thing that struck me when my kids were growing up was how many cartoons were actually quite well written.
Oh, brilliant.
Things like Beast Wars, which is really just there to sell toys, but boy.
Phineas and Ferb, SpongeBob, great writing.
SpongeBob.
Brilliant writing. Really well structured, and if you want to learn how to write a script, just watch Phineas and Ferb.
Right, we'll take a break now and have a look at something we've already mentioned, which is What Now. Now, it's no exaggeration to say that Jason Gunn was the face of New Zealand children's TV in the 80s and 90s. While he entertains adults on TV these days, he and his wife, Janine Morell, remain a major force in children's programming, not least as the producers of What Now. Simon Pound went to Christchurch to see where the magic happens.
Whitebait TV is a Christchurch-based company that makes some of New Zealand's biggest and most loved kids' TV shows. Their main projects are What Now?, the 28-year mainstay of the kid TV scene, and this year's new entry, The Aaron Simpson Show. It's run by Janine Morell-Gunn and her husband, TV's Jason Gunn. They started small with the show Bumble for preschoolers, but how they've grown. To house these massive productions, they this year opened this purpose-built epic studio complex. Let's go on a tour with sales manager Emma.
Passion and inspiration are key words of everything, and this is called the Whitebait Way.
There's the lobby, where you'll find receptionist Kim and a meeting room for clients.
It's putting a bit of magic back into TV.
Corridors to makeup, wardrobe, an atrium, good for parties. Green rooms, 3 that connect. More corridors, complete with chandeliers.
And Janine's made the corridors wider than the standard corridor, just to give that feeling of space and luxury. So it's that sort of attention to detail that she's put in making the building.
Then there's editing suites, tape rooms, sound facilities, a graphic design studio complete with 3 staff, a big workroom, a prize cupboard/great hall, and an art department props lair. They have 2 studios too, one with this enormous green screen. See? Then there is a control room, tech room and VT room. Oh yes, and the main studio.
Level 2, folding.
It's as big as Avalon's, where they film Dancing with the Stars. But here, there's more goo and currently less Jason Gunn. Geez, Janine, you've been busy.
It's certainly bigger than what we're all used to. I know for the first few weeks we were waiting for the real owners to come home, but we are those. It's a bit filled of dreams really. If you build it, they will come.
The whole complex is so complex because kids' TV is, well, complex. For the Aaron Simpson Show, a 5-day-a-week half-hour show, the workload is immense.
It's really fast. We're doing 2.5 hours worth of TV every week with a huge amount of field and studio and research into everything. It's a beast to make this show, but it is really rewarding as well.
And What Now?, although only once a week, has a lot of moving parts.
We've got 2 hours on a Sunday with a crew of about 25 to 40 people in the studio and 200 audience sitting there screaming and then everybody watching at home. It's about coordinating all of that so that when you watch it from home it looks like a fun party, but one that you're actually invited to and a part of, as opposed to just one that's going on and someone's crashed it with a camera.
The interactive world also places special demands.
Today, interactivity and connecting with kids is more vital than ever before. So the use of web, online, Bebo and things is just fantastic. So it's just opened up a whole lot of new programming opportunities.
And although they have this set up and 10 million odd New Zealand on air dollars a year, that's actually considered not that much for what they produce in tally terms.
I remember going overseas to, a children's conference and seeing something like, the Tweenies. And those sort of shows are like, 250,000 US a half hour. Well, we're making Bumble and our preschool shows over here for 12,000 New Zealand a half hour.
So although producers would always like more money, the reason that the studio exists and that these people put in the work comes back to the fun and energy that is kids' TV.
You look fine, was that fun?
Yeah.
I don't think that really was fun. Simon Pound with that report. Luke, that's big, complicated TV and they make it 6 days a week. It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It's lots of fun, it's hard work. Good on for Janine to doing it. That's great.
Do you think that we will, it's kept running, the formula still seems to work, that particularly with What Now, that big weekend, Saturday morning event TV. Are we going to keep making that?
I think Janine made a really good point, is that the future of kids TV is creating communities that follow, and it's not just about on screen, it's about the communities you create. And we did the same thing with Let's Get Inventing, is that we started because kids sent us letters of inventions they wanted to make, and we created a show around those letters, basically, and built it up to what it is today. And now the community is massive, where kids go online, they write to us, and we write back, and The show lives outside. We're doing school programs, and we're working with other companies that are helping us getting kids creative and thinking. So it's about making the brand bigger than just when it's on screen. I think Janine's
So
got that.
that internet part is a key part of it.
Oh, it's massive.
People have got to have
Yeah.
somewhere to go back to, even while the show's not on there.
Yeah, it's about nurturing that community, our community of inventive kids. They can see us on school through the Science Roadshow, through Fonterra. We're in that. We're in teachers' packs and online resources you can download about how to invent. So I'm really passionate about getting kids into creativity and creating stuff and the whole inventive thing, obviously. And everything we do is around that. And the TV is the centre, the hub of it, but there's other stuff that keeps it going.
Well, we'll actually take a break now, and when we come back, we'll look at what the psychologists have to say about children's TV.